Back in the days of Crystron Hakufibrax, DDD was a main deck of mine. Before Master Duel even came out, I was playing this deck in Legacy of the Duelist and such, and I loved it, right? The transition to Master Duel was definitely a little bit difficult, and since, you know, Hulk has been banned and whatever, a lot of how I used to play the deck is no longer valid. So I've picked the deck back up again, and I have played it since then, of course, and I have played it again today with the new support having come out, and I'm impressed with the deck. I don't know if the deck's there yet. I know there's a lot more support to come, so this is not the end all and be all of Triple D. There's more support already in the TCG or OCG. Somewhere it exists. It's in the ether somewhere in that direction. It will eventually come to Master Duel. So picking these cards up now and learning how they work is a pretty solid investment of your sort of time, energies, and resources. So I wanted to get ahead of the curve. I wanted to play the deck, find out what was going on, and I'm pretty impressed. I've been working on this list for a bit, and I kind of feel like I'm very confident with this list. There's a couple of cards here and there that we might want to change. I'm going to bring you through the list and my sort of deck building rationale later in the video. First of all, I'm going to bring up some replays. Now, I do have one complaint about this deck. I don't know why, but every time I play Triple D, I feel like we get put against Yu-Gi-Oh! Jesus every single time. Like, we'll play through a board of like 4 or 5 interruptions, but every time we activate a card, they just have another. It feels like we're losing games that if we were playing any other deck, we would have won. I'm not going to pretend for a second that I'm a Triple D expert. Definitely not. I know the deck pretty well, but I'm definitely not, you know, writing a paper on this anytime soon. I don't have no thesis posted about Triple D. But we're reasonably competent with the deck, and we're reasonably competent at the game, and I feel like a lot of the games we're going very, very well. So we're going to get in. I'm going to show off some replays. I'm going to talk about the deck as it is. Like I said, this is more of just an exploration of the deck in its current state. There will be more to come down the line, so expect to see more Triple D content once that stuff actually happens. If you want to see more content in general, of course, on any deck, make sure you're subscribed to catch more videos as they come out. We've been posting every single day a game, so if you want to catch videos every single day, you know where to find them. Like this video, help me get it out to even more people, and let's get into those replays. This was one of our first duels using the deck, and I'm going to be honest, it's definitely one of the ones that made me fall in love with it and realize that there is definitely something here, right? So our opponents can be playing Labyrinth. They're going to set up the simultaneous equation cannon, set one pass. Not the most intimidating Labyrinth turn in the world, but we all know how this deck works. They're going to start off with Max C. Luckily, we've got the Ash Blossom, so we're not going to be losing to Max C quite so easily. We do have a fairly impressive hand, although a lot of these cards are normal summons. We're going to start with the Nightmare Throne to potentially bait out some sort of interruption. He did not fall for it. Now we're going to normal summon the DD Savant Kepler. Kepler's going to grab us the Dark Contract of the Gate. We're going to drop Kepler to summon out the DD Count Surveyor. Count Surveyor going to grab us the Scale Surveyor. We're going to hold on to that one for later. Again, perhaps, like I said, this is one of my earlier games. Perhaps Scale Surveyor was not one of the best adds here. We're going to go Griffin and the Abyss King Ragnarok. Now we're going to go for Dark Contract at the Gate, grabbing ourselves the DD Orphos. I wanted the Orphos because I want to go into Siegfried here. So we're going to summon out Scale Surveyor and Copernicus and the Orphos. Copernicus then is going to mill a card from the deck. Scale Surveyor is going to change itself to level 4, which is going to be useful from the context of Exceed or Synchro Summoning. We're going to send Necroslime to the graveyard. This is perhaps where I made a mistake. I decided I was going to go for a fusion summon with Necroslime into Genghis first, and then we get hit with Daruma Cannon. So perhaps it would have been better for me to go for Siegfried first, but it's fine. This is Lab. They're not an OTK-based sort of deck. I'm not overly worried about dying this turn, so we're kind of chilling. They're going to set and activate Welcome Labyrinth using the effect of Coup Clock, allowing them to go directly into Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Lovely going to grab back the Welcome from the graveyard into the battle phase, swinging over the Genghis, which sucks, but whatever. Then swinging into the Orphos, which I'm assuming they just didn't check the defense points of, because we kind of thick. We 1800. Passing back to us, they're going to go for Welcome Labyrinth, of course, to set up Torby, which was an interesting choice. I feel like they should have gone for Lady, but I'm not going to tell them how to play the game. We're going to flip up 2 of our Triple D monsters, or Double D monsters. We're now going to go into Gilgamesh, primarily just for the Link Arrows for a potential Pendulum Summon. That's going to trigger off our Genghis, as well as the Scale Surveyor. So Skill Surveyor adds Griffin back to hand. Ragnarok then plays the Genghis from the graveyard. Now we're going to grab our Count Surveyor yet again. Count Surveyor going to drop the Griffin, summoning itself out of the field. Going to search our deck for another card here, triggering as well the effect of the Genghis, which is going to bring back the Griffin from the graveyard. But unfortunately, our opponent's got the simultaneous equation cannon, banishing cards from the extra, bouncing them back to the extra deck to wipe our entire board. That sucks. Bringing back the Griffin, Count Surveyor, going to grab us Copernicus though, so we're not out of the game just yet by any stretch of the imagination. Griffin then is going to, I believe Griffin's from graveyard effect, searches, yes, it grabs a DD card from deck to hand, which is pretty useful. It does get popped, but that's fine. We're going to grab ourselves the Swirl Slime here. We're going to normal summon the Copernicus. Copernicus then going to mill the Lamia. Lamia going to activate its effect to discard the contract to summon itself out from the grave. Now we're going to link summon into the Gilgamesh once more. That's right, a third Gilgamesh has landed. We're going to pay 1,000 life points to play 2 guys out to the field. We're going to go Thomas to grab back the Kepler. Now we're going to Pendulum summon out Copernicus and the Griffin. Griffin then, when Pendulum summon, will drop the Kepler to grab ourselves Dark Contract of the Swamp. We're going to use the Dark Contract of the Swamp, fusion summoning into the Flame King Genghis. Now we're going to go for an Exceed summon into the Wave King Caesar. Wave King Caesar then ranking itself up into Marksman Tell. I believe at this stage we were running a little bit short of time, but after having had our field wipe with the simultaneous equation cannons, I think we're doing a pretty good job of putting up extra resources and rebuilding our board. So we're going to start swinging in, taking care of as many of his monsters as we can. We've effectively, even through having our entire board banished, managed to swing this back around at least a little bit. So our opponent's going to draw a card and immediately drop that card off of the Tori, playing big Welcome Labyrinth onto the field, and they're simply going to now use the Coup Clock, adding itself back to the hand, and they will end their turn. So nothing super fancy from our opponents here, which is kind of what Lab does. They're going to go for big Welcome and draw, summoning out the Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, and bouncing it back to hand. That's going to trigger Welcome Labyrinth as well as Torby, both of which will activate in grave. Then Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle is going to summon itself out to the field as well. So Lady Labyrinth going to land on the field. Torby then going to summon itself back to the field as well. Labyrinth playing itself face down. Coup Clock then being activated, making a trap card activatable this turn. Going to go for Welcome Labyrinth, chaining Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle as well. We're not going to chain to her using the Visor King Deus Machinix. They're going to go for Butler in response to our Deus Machinix. So a bit of a chain here. This is all in draw phase, by the way. Popping the Dark Contract of the Swamp, taking the Lady, placing another simultaneous equation cannon onto the field, which is going to make me throw up. They're going to go for Ariana of the Labyrinth, adding the Chandelier from deck to hand. Finally, out of the draw phase into the main phase, we're going to go Tomas to grab us back at the Count Surveyor. Now we're going to go for the Swirl Slime, the fusion summon with the Count Surveyor into High Genghis, which is a spell trap negate. No link monsters left on our extra deck, so I'm not going to preserve the link monster arrows. We're going to go Count Surveyor, grabbing the Kepler back out to our hand. We're going to normal summon the Kepler, grabbing the field spell, which admittedly does nothing in this particular matchup. We're going to go Battle Phase. Battle Phase, taking out the Butler with the Deus Machinix. We're going to go Tell into Ariana. High King Genghis takes out the Torby, and then we're going to deal 4,000 points of damage directly to our opponent. Now we're going to go for an Exceed summon using our 2 level 8 monsters. We're going to go into the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which was a... I wasn't a mistake, because the High King Genghis spell trap negate is only during my turn, but during our opponent's turn, they are now going to go for a second simultaneous equation cannon, once again wiping our board. It's a tight one. It is a tight one. Labyrinth is just one of those decks that just does not die when you want it to. We're going to go Torby from the graveyard, welcome Labyrinth from the graveyard as well. Torby activating its effect, dropping a card from hand, playing an additional copy of Big Welcome directly from the deck onto the field. Coup Clock then adding itself back to the hand from the graveyard. Our opponent being able to recover so many resources every single turn is such a big problem. Even if our things were being sent to graveyard, we would have more plays, but because they're being banished, we have 21 banished cards right now. With everything getting banished, it's difficult for us to have the resources to pop back. So we're going to go Swirl Slime, which will summon the Count Surveyor from our hand. Count Surveyor, when summoned, will search an additional card. They're going to go for Ariana, which will get them a search as well. So they're going to grab the Butler. Makes sense. Count Surveyor then is going to activate to grab ourselves Copernicus, which is a pretty decent normal summon. They're going to go Big Welcome here. Big Welcome, bringing back the lady to bounce the lady back. That's going to trigger off the Torby to summon itself from grave, Chandelier to add itself back to hand, Lady to summon herself out to the field. And this is what I mean, man, the crazy amount of gas that Labyrinth has. It is just so difficult to beat them in a game of attrition. Adding that card back to hand, Torby coming out the field, pretty standard stuff. They're going to go for the Coup Clock now. Coup Clock is going to make a back row card activatable this turn. They're going to go for Imperm on the Copernicus, which was not unforeseen. That's going to trigger Lady Labyrinth at the Silver Castle to play a normal trap of a different name directly onto the field. They're going to go for a third copy of Simultaneous Equation Cannons, which is starting to get on my nerves, but there's no way he can resolve it 3 times. We're going to go for DD Griffin, but of course he's gonna target the Count Surveyor one more time, having our board wiped for a third time off of the Simultaneous Equation Cannons. I'm gonna speed this up here because we've got nothing that we can do to this guy right now. I was going to like let him go for lethal, so I'm gonna like fast forward this a wee bit here, but he decided he was gonna dick around a wee bit. So as soon as I realized he was just dicking around instead of going for lethal, I surrendered. But man, 3 copies of the Simultaneous Equation Cannons. Yeah, there we go. 3 copies is crazy. And this game, I actually mentioned it in my Discord when it happened. I was actually very, very impressed at Double D's for this. And the reason is it takes a lot for a deck to survive having its entire board banished. It takes even more to survive having the entire board banished twice. And as much as the third one didn't banish much of a board, we were beginning to generate additional momentum, starting to build back up again to try and go for a game after having our entire board banished twice, and he had to wipe us out a third time. So as much as we lost this game, I think that it was a fantastic showing of the resilience and the fact that Triple D does in fact have that dog in it. I was very impressed by this game, and this is the game that made me really want to home in on this deck. Alright, getting into our next game. The rest of these are in no particular order. We are going to go for the Savant Kepler. Kepler going to grab us the Swamp Contract because we've already got it in our hand. Droll definitely hurts here quite a lot, but we're going to see if we can perhaps at least set something up through the Droll. So we're going to go for the Genghis here. Then we're going to go Genghis into Machinix, and the way that this works, we're going to set up the Dark Contract. We're going to activate all these cards, even though we cannot use these cards. The way everyone has sort of seen Machinix, right? But you've seen Machinix in the context of like Unchained decks or Triple D engines. The way this card works is that this card can either detach 2 materials or destroy a Dark Contract on your field to absorb an opponent's monster when they activate a monster effect. So the way that that works in this context is we have 3 procs and to pop a Dark Contract to absorb their monsters. Upon doing so, we will have 4 Exceed materials. That gives us 3 additional attempts using Exceed materials to absorb more monsters, because we detach 2, brings us to 2 materials, then attach his, which brings us to 3. Then detach 2 plus 1 brings us to 2, detach 2 plus 1 brings us to 1. So we get 3 abilities, 3 chances to proc it using contracts, and 3 chances to proc it using Exceed materials, which makes Deus Machinix in this particular circumstance 6 interruptions. 6. So definitely not nothing. He's going to go for a card. We're going to go for Maxi, of course, as the only other card in our hand. It does actually resolve, which I didn't remember if it resolved or not. But don't worry about it. The Maxi does not matter. They're going to go for the Golem here. We're going to use Machinix absorbing the Golem. What's worth noting, it says when a monster card your opponent controls. That means Pendulum monsters. That means monsters being treated as spells and traps. Not just monsters in the monster zone. So golems or back row monsters as well are also targetable and fair game for our Divisor King. So he's going to go Poplar. Poplar grabs the original Sinful Spoils. That's fine. I'm going to let him combo a little bit. I'm not going to stop every single play he makes because I do want to draw some cards to potentially win next turn. They're going to go for Senginshin. I am going to suck that up because the Senginshin gets him in the Fiendsmith and gets him a lot of extra gas. So I am going to take that card. I'm not going to pop my contracts. I'm going to detach 2 off of him because I want to keep my contracts if possible. He's going to go for Oak here. Oak activating its effect, going to bring back the Poplar. He still gets the Revive Poplar off of this, but stopping the Oak, or absorbing the Oak, means that he doesn't get to send Oak plus a card into Flamberge, which is the thing I really wanted to stop. Gonna go for Moon, gonna link off the Moon in the Requiem, that's fine. Gonna go Requiem now, and I'm pretty sure we just ashed the Requiem. Yeah, we do. We just ashed the Requiem. Where would we stop a Fiendsmith engine using Deus Machinix? Probably Lacrima, but it doesn't matter one way or the other because our opponent has been sufficiently cut. Deus Ex Machinix, man. Pretty good card. It's a pretty good card, man. Love to see it. Next game. All right, so getting into our next game here, we're going to go me and 1. We're going to start off with our Swirl Slam, so definitely a very different hand to the one before this. We're going to go into Genghis off the bat. Now we're going to trigger Swirl Slime. We're going to summon Lamia to trigger the Genghis to bring back the Griffin. That's going to trigger Griffin to search our deck for a card. We're going to grab the Kepler because we haven't normal summoned. Then he's going to hit us with Droll, which really hurt my feelings because I was not setting myself up for Droll here, but that's fine. We're going to go into Alexander, and this is why I included Alexander in this deck list, because normal summoning them with the Alexander brings back Lamia, which gives us a 7 and a 1, which allows us to win the Siegfried without relying on the Orphos. I didn't like how heavily a lot of other lists were relying on Orphos for the synchro summoning of Siegfried, and I think Siegfried is a really powerful card. So I wanted my list to focus more on being able to bring this card out as consistently as possible. So we're going to go Genghis here. Now we're going to go for a Pendulum Summon, bringing out the Griffin, Necroslaying, then activating its effect, Fusion Summoning with the Alexander in the graveyard to go into a second Genghis, so we can now summon out the Wave High King Caesar. We did not go for Machinix on our Gilgamesh because we would not have either a Dark Contract nor enough materials to absorb anything, so I decided to keep this guy around because this guy actually has some text here where if he's destroyed by battle, we get to summon a double D monster from our extra deck or graveyard. So yeah, unlikely, but definitely more useful than a Machinix. But I think being able to get Siegfried and Wave High King Caesar underneath Droll was a pretty solid turn underneath Droll, especially. Droll definitely hurts a lot for this deck. They're going to go for Genro Ryugi. This card's kind of crazy. This card's a D-Prison during my turn only. It's kind of nuts. They're going to go for Call By. Guarantee you they were just trying to bait out my Siegfried. That's going to trigger Hakfa here. Hakfa is going to be able to special summon itself when a card is banished, so it could be that we're trying to trigger its effect. One way or the other, I don't care. It's not coming out. Normal summoning Ash Blossom, then activating the Ryugi, Worm, whatever. Now they're going to go into the Typhon. Typhon, unfortunately, being bigger than my monsters and being able to spin one back to hand. Getting rid of the Typhon, then swinging into gear, Siegfried, sorry, is going to clear out our 2 boss monsters. Definitely a pain. Triple attack, attempting to draw 2 cards. We're going to ash that shit. Typhon is a threat, but it's definitely not insurmountable. Siegfried, though, so the problem is now we're dealing with Ryugi Realm. My deck has a lot of follow-up and a lot of potential to play from the grave and such, but not while this card is active, so we need to find a way to deal with that first of all, and I've got a plan. We're going to start with Machinix. Machinix on our Gilgamesh is going to trigger the Oblivion King Ragnarok to bring back the Siegfried. Siegfried then is going to immediately negate that back row. Now we're fine. We're going to go Kepler. Kepler's going to grab us the Fusion contract. We're going to use contract with the gate to get searching, and just like that, our opponent decided, nuh-uh. So that was pretty good. A solid board underneath Droll, and I think that shows at least a little bit of the follow-up. It was difficult to get a real sort of back and forth game because the way a lot of the games were going was that if our opponent didn't instantly beat us, they surrendered, or like we lost in a way that just wasn't entertaining and wasn't educational in any way. So I hopefully this showed off a little bit of the plays. It's definitely a very different board under Droll than what we did last time, but there's a lot of Droll running around right now. All right, so look at this opening hand. This hand is ass. but we're going to try and make it work anyways. We're playing against Mathmech, which is not a deck you see very often, but is definitely a problem if left uninterrupted. They're going to go for Super Factorial here. That's, you know, it's whatever. Now they're going to go into the Alimbertion. I think Alimbertion is a much more efficient Ash than Circular. Because they're getting Super Factorial no matter what. So I kind of want to put them in a position to where they have less options. They did just have an additional Mathmech in hand though, so it's not like stopping the diameter is ultimately going to be a game-ending threat or anything like that. They're going to go Splash Mage, bring it back to Circular from the graveyard, and from here, we're just talking pretty standard Link plays. If you've been around this channel for any decent amount of time, I've got God knows how many videos on Mathmech, so this is something we're all very familiar with. If you're not, have a look back. If you're interested, the deck is pretty fucking cool. They're going to go into the Terahertz here off of this. Terahertz sending the, whatever that thing's name is again, the Deceive Worm, and into us. Now this, of course, hand has a couple of redeeming factors. It's not fantastic, but we can work with it. We're going to start with Copernicus. Copernicus, immediately impermed. Okay. Alright. Not looking great, but we can try. So now we're going to go for the Griffin's effect. We're going to go Griffin, special summon it out to the field. We're going to go Link 2 into the Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh then going to activate to place Pendulum Scales. He's going to chain Super Factorial here. Very good play from our opponent because Super Factorial is going to be especially problematic against a deck that likes to Pendulum Summon. Summoning out his 3 Mathmechs, then immediately conducting an Exceed Summon into the Laplation. No diameter, but still a Laplation, and that's pretty good. We actually kind of played some main games of our opponent here. The Pendulum monster that really matters is this guy, the Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. He's the one that matters. Now, I'm honestly, even in my own experience, I'm not super sure about what your other low scale should be. I play sort of different ones depending on the situations. In this situation, I chose this guy because it's a UR, it's new, and it's shiny, which means that I knew for a fact this guy was not reading all this text. He was going to pick the shiny card. So we did kind of, yeah, so Griffin, Gilgamesh, and the shiny card, of course. The one that matters, we wanted to protect. Now we're going to go for Swirl Slime. He's going to activate the Neo Tempest Terahertz to send the Packbit, which is a real pain in the ass. We're going to go Genghis. Packbit then is going to come from the graveyard and return our Genghis to the back row, which is again especially detrimental against the Pendulum deck because he goes into Pendulum Zone. We're going to bring back Griffin here off of Ragnarok, and not even the Griffin can resolve. We can't activate a single card without this guy having an answer. Between the Imperm, the Ash, the Send 3, the Deceive Worm, the Packbit, just unable to act. I was gonna sit here, but yeah, no, I did actually decide to take it. Yeah, it kind of the face. There you go. I mean, I was still low-key kind of impressed. Our opening hand was ass. Our opening hand, triple Griffin, awful. But we played a lot. We played through a good bit of interruption. I was kind of low-key impressed. And I think that's my thing about the deck. I feel like we're always capable of playing through a good bit of interruption, but for some reason it just never feels like enough. Man, it's weird. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Let's get into the actual deck profile. Alright, now this is the version of the deck that I ended up settling on. There are dozens and dozens of variations and variants of this deck out there, all that focus around different parts of the archetype, or even how the archetype interacts with other decks. Like, I've seen ones that play Gimmick Puppet cards to summon out Vice King Requiem to your opponent's side of the field to double D-lock them. I've seen variants that focus on the something zero. There's a lot, right, is my point. This is the variant of the deck that I ended up with, and I went with this for this video because I wanted it to be as general as possible. And the reason I want that is I want you to be able to look at this as kind of a way to get an idea as to how Double D works. It's really warm in this room, by the way. That's why I'm constantly adjusting. And this is supposed to be as general an idea as to how this deck works as possible. And I guess the only real thing that I'm playing differently to many other decks out there is I wanted to focus a little bit more on Siegfried than it seems that many decks do. I personally really like this card. I think spell trap negates in general are very good, and there's a lot of decks out there that summon it and can summon it and show you in their videos and their replays that they summon it, but it's literally like only if you draw Orphos or only if you draw a particular combination of cards that get you access to Orphos. I didn't like that. I personally much prefer having access to Lamia plus 7s. I really like Alexander in the list, which is a card you're not going to see very many people play. I think Alexander's really good, especially considering his effect procs on normal summon, as well as special summon, which they don't all do. So Lamia and the Alexander makes summoning out Siegfried significantly more consistent. And I'm also playing Savant Newton, which is a 7, which can be summoned, but also more importantly, helps you with recycling as well. So this card was another card you're not going to see played in very many other lists. But let's go through the list in general. So in terms of our small monsters, we've got 1 Necro Slime, 1 Lamia, triple Swirl Slime, and the 3 copies of Kepler. We got Scale Surveyor at 1. I was kind of between. Initially, I started with 3 of this, and then I went to 2, and then I went to 1. It's like, this card's neat, but it's not that good. But it's nice to have an extender in a deck where your Link 2 is so strong. Sometimes just having an extra name is useful. So I never have any problems with this card, but it's not a card I'm going out of my way to get access to. Copernicus, really good starter. I'm playing that at 3. Orphos at 1. You can get away with playing this card at 2. I used to play it at 2. I feel like because we're playing Lamia, we kind of don't have to play it at 2. Because I don't love seeing it in a lot of circumstances. But it's solid. You can definitely get away with 2 of this card. Triple Griffin, great extender, great searches, great everything. This card is very good. It takes a minute to like really learn how to maximize this card. You have to sort of play around with it a good bit. I used to think this card was super overrated, but the more you play it, the more you realize that this card's actually fucking amazing. Newton for some recovery. It's a 1-of. It's optional. Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok is definitely one of your better cards in terms of the pendulum scales that you're going to play off of Gilgamesh. Being a 5 scale, it's not a phenomenal scale, but because it's more than 4, it'll do. And being able to recycle Triple D monsters from the graveyard is key. Savant Thomas, an additional sort of high scale or 6 scale. This guy in the pendulum zones can add monsters from the extra deck, the face-up extra deck, to your hand. So it helps you recycle and helps you extend it in the grind game. So I do like Thomas a good bit. He's pretty solid. And 3 copies of Count Surveyor, which is both an extender as well as a consistency tool. Count Surveyor, I think, is huge for this deck. I really like this card. It definitely helps a lot, because before this, the deck didn't really have much in the way of searching. It has Kepler, but Kepler can only really grab you a contract, and it grabs a Gate, and then Gate gets you a search, but Gate getting you a search is... You're still only really got 1 search in the deck, right? Outside of Griffins, which can be a little tricky to resolve if you don't already have gas. So the deck getting an additional just straight up search is very good, especially considering it's on a body. I'm not a huge fan of its level at level 8. Perhaps that will serve more value in the future. It does make summoning the High King Genghis a little bit easier, but that's not like a massive concern of the deck. But maybe 8s will be more useful in the future when it comes to this deck. I don't know. I'm not super up to date with the OCG/TCG support, but right now, free extender, almost free extender, plus a search is awesome. Dark Contract with the patent license. I'm gonna be honest, I never really used this card for its intended effect. It's kind of like a pseudo floodgate, but its like actual effect is so convoluted. It's mainly good because if it's sent to the graveyard, you can search your deck for a double D monster from your graveyard deck or face-up extra deck, which is nice. Or sorry, your graveyard or face-up extra deck. So it's not like great, but it's a nice card off of like they use Machinix to pop. I mean, it's not fantastic. You definitely don't have to play this, but I also didn't hit it, so it is what it is. Nightmare Throne. Search for a Fiend that has 0 attack and 0 defense. Big difference. So the Kepler is searchable. Copernicus is searchable, which are both really good cards. Things like Skill Surveyor is not, because it has a 1000 defense. Newton is searchable off of this, which is another really cool thing. I was kind of looking for Fiends that had 0 attack and defense when I came across Newton because of Nightmare Throne. So this card's really good. Gate searches any monster. It's a free of, absolutely. Dark Contract with the Swamps. It's a fusion spell that works from your graveyard. Card's great. And then Triple D Headhunt, which is a card that actually, in like the fucking 20 games I played, I don't think this card came up a single time. I think this card's great if you find yourself in a position to use it. My problem with this card is that it's great in a vacuum where you don't have to worry about hand traps and such, but for you to even get in the Headhunt is such an inconvenience that often it just doesn't happen, to be honest. It's a great card. It's not bad to just draw either. Like, if I just had it in my hand, that would be one thing, but I literally don't think I saw this card a single time in all of my games. Maybe that's a skill issue. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. If there is any major text strategies, anything like that, maybe there's a Triple D expert watching this and they're currently fucking shaking their head. If you would consider yourself some sort of double or Triple D expert, by all means, don't leave it in the comments. Go into the Discord and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I would love some feedback. I tried reaching out, didn't really... a lot of people aren't super keen on this particular wave of support for Triple Ds. A lot of people are waiting until the full archetype lands, which is fair enough, I get that. But if you're a particular double or Triple D fan and you've got any feedback or suggestions, hop into the Discord and leave them there. But that's it for the main deck in terms of the actual Triple D cards. Other than that, we got pretty standard hand traps. We got Maxi, Ash, Callby, no cross out, but we do have 3 copies of Imperm. You can take these out for a cross out and some targets if you want. I didn't really know what to put in this final spot, so I just put some Imperms. But yeah, that's the main deck. And the extra deck is fairly simple. We got double Genghis. You kind of need double Genghis because looping the 6s is typically how you go into Caesar. High Genghis is nice as an extender plus a spell trap negate during your own turn. That's nice. Alexander, I began using as an extender using Lamia into Cursed King Siegfried. That's why he's here, and it's been pretty effective. I really like it. So I personally think that Alexander's a great add because it makes Siegfried being summoned significantly more consistent. I'm running Gust High King Alexander over Baron. A lot of people run Baron here. I don't like putting non-double D cards in the deck because of Gilgamesh's restrictions. Plus, I want to play around with the triple D cards, man. But this card can absolutely be a Baron if you would like. But it's outside of that, it's just a huge monster, 3,000 attack points, or it can boost itself up to 6,000. And it has the same extender effect. For those who don't know, by the way, all of the Synchro and Fusion Triple D monsters, as well as the high-level monsters in general, including Abyss Ragnarok, basically if you summon another Double D monster while they're on the field, they will usually special summon another Double D monster from the graveyard. So they will loop and into one another, which is nice. And they all kind of have that effect here. Siegfried doesn't. It's a spell trap negate, but it's more a boss monster. Wave King Caesar at 1, the Marksman Tail King at 1, High King Caesar at 1. Of course, all really good cards. These guys primarily engine pieces, but Caesar is one of your boss monsters. Photon Lord is kind of nice in some... there are particular lands you can do with the deck that allow you to go into Photon Lord either on or before your 5th summon, or at the very least before you commit to anything significant. So having Photon Lord is pretty good. Double Machinix, because you saw that second game. This card's crazy. And triple Gilgamesh, because you will want 3 Gilgamesh. It will happen more often than you think. And that's the deck. I really don't have a lot to say. Like I said, I know the deck reasonably well, but I am far from an expert. So if we have any experts in the comment section, by all means, hop into the Discord and let me know. But ultimately, this is a good sort of bystander's overview, the layman's overview of Double D. And I hope you learned something from it. That's everything for me. If you want to catch more videos, make sure you are subscribed and that you check out 2 videos above me right now in some sort of direction. One will be our most recent post, and the other will be one that YouTube thinks is most suitable to you. So you can check that video out. Tell me if they're right or wrong. But that's everything from me. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.